All right, I'm Dougie Walters.
I'll be Dennis Lilly.
Right.
I'm Yvonne Colley.
Yvonne Corley? Well, you're dumb. Yvonne Corley doesn't play cricket.
Oh, well, I thought...
Look, honey, you just stand over there and you be Yvonne Corley if you want to. You filled in slips, okay?
Okay.
You ready, Damon? Lay it on me. How's that another Dougie Walters for?
It's covered in ants.
These girls. Oh, they're big bully ants, are they?
Are you scared now, eh? Hey? Any greenheads? Should have seen the size of the ants that I got bitten with up at Beats. Gee, that stings. Oh.
What's happened?
Oh, I think it might be a bulldog ant that you're telling me about.
Judging by that nest there, I'd say it probably is.
Big
Now,
thing,
there's a... Yeah, they are big. There's a good old bush cure for that.
Tell me.
You get the bottom of a bit of bracken fern, like the root, and cut it and rub it on. And it does seem to take the sting out.
Just my luck, there's no bracken around here.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know if it's psychological or chemical, but it does seem to work.
Oh.
The bushies believe in it. Listen, do you want to come over and have a closer look at them?
No, thanks. No, thank you.
Well,
I'm going to stay here. I'm not going back down.
I'll bring you one back to look at.
That's very nice of you.
You watch this, you can see just how aggressive they are if I stir them up. They come swarming out of the hole.
They're not quite little dears.
Not a nice place to stand, I'll tell you now, eh? I'll get these tweezers out and bring you one over. There we go, a red bulldog ant.
Mean looking things, aren't they?
They are mean looking. You can see where their name comes from. The big jaws, like a bulldog at the front. Also called bull ants or bull joes, some places. But they are very, very primitive. Probably one of the most ancient ants in the world, if not the most ancient. And they don't have quite the big social order that other ants have. Because ants tend to live a little bit like human beings, you know. But these powerful nippers out the front here we're looking at aren't the worst part about this ant. It actually uses those to hold on with, to get a good grip, and then it whacks in a sting from the rear end of the body. That sting isn't barbed either, not like a bee sting. There's no barb on it. It can sting over and over again.
Will they put a poison into you?
Yeah, they do have a strong sort of toxic venom in there. It's an acid-based. Well, as you've just felt.
I know, yes.
They can really hurt when they sting.
Sulfuro.
Yeah, but ants are incredible animals in themselves. Like, for example, these fellows often go on raids, raid other nests, and bring back the larvae, which are the young ants from the other nests, and also bring back slaves. Various ants take slaves. They even look after aphids, some forms of ants, because they milk them like cows, get the honeydew out of them. And they put them out on the plants to, tend them like cattle, just like human beings. But these fellows here can be a problem if you're bitten by them. So it can be really dangerous. In fact, many years ago in Queensland, a small girl fell onto a nest and she was immobile after it, and she was more or less stung to death by these ants.
Now you tell me, where's the nearest hospital? Where is it?
I think you'll be right anyhow. I'll slip this one back over there.
Does Pete ever get scared of being bitten?
Of course not, does he, Art?
Well, I don't know about scared, Craig. He's very, very careful when he handles anything that might bite or scratch or anything like that. I remember one day we were out in the bush and he stepped over a log and he was nearly bitten by a brown snake.
What happened?
Ah, come look at this. You nearly stepped on it.
Oh, jeez. What is it, a brown snake?
Yeah, mate.
Oh, they're poisonous, aren't they?
Very. They're deadly. In fact, it's one of our deadliest snakes, the deadliest snakes in Australia. We've got our tiger snake and
Not
taipan.
as deadly as a taipan.
No, but deadly enough, and they do kill a lot of people because they're more common and found more often than taipans. But you see, he's a nice brown colour, nice shade. Well, they're not always brown. They can tend to be black, and you can notice this bloke's even got a darker brown head. But they are a very aggressive snake when they're stirred up. But a lot of people you'll meet in the bush who will tell you they will chase you when they're breeding and things like this. Well, that doesn't really happen. It's a bit of a wives' tale, that. But even though it's a deadly snake, once again, it's a protected species.
Are they really cold to touch and slimy?
No, they're not slimy at all, but they are cold-blooded. They depend on the outside temperature, like all reptiles, to keep them warm. You can see, have a look in there, you'll see the the area where the fangs actually come from. See in the front of the mouth?
He hasn't got them sticking out.
No, he hasn't got them sticking. He's got a little sheath over them that protect them.
What's that called, just for my interest?
The sheath over the
Yeah.
fang, it's called the vaginal sheath. Just protects the fang. Another good indication with these brown snakes, quite often they're found with these pinky spots along their belly.
Can I feel there too? That's a funny feeling.
Yeah, well, that's called the ventral scales, the bottom scales. They're the things that help the snake move along.
So they haven't got legs, they haven't got anything to move along except their scales.
That's right. They have little muscles that help control the nerve ends in the end there, little muscles. And these scales, these big ventral scales, catch on rough parts of the ground and move them along. If you put them on a shiny surface, then they'd find it very difficult to move.
What size would he be?
He'd go 4.5, 5 feet maybe.
What's that in centimetres? You've got me.
Oh, no, it's me. Anyhow, we'll let him go, eh?
On the way back there with that brown snake, if you'd have got bitten, I wouldn't have had a clue what to do.
Yeah, you're right. The trouble with me is I tend to think that most people would just automatically know. But there's a lot of methods that's been used for snake bite. It's only first aid. You know, if it's a deadly snake, you've got to seek medical help. But I'll show you. I've recently changed a couple of methods for snake bite treatment. And something else you should remember when you're out in the bush is that always carry something around in the way of a medical chest or something with you. And firstly, they used to use the old method of a tourniquet. Mm-hmm. This is to stop the blood flowing from the wound, taking the venom through. And if you'd say, let's assume you've been bitten. Let's say you've been bitten here, right?
Yeah.
Snake's bitten you there. You would then apply the tourniquet to the single boned area in your arm up here.
Right.
And that would cut off the blood like that. Down here, of course, you've got two bones and the blood still flow between them. However, that method is out.
Really?
Yeah, well, mainly because people putting the tourniquet on would then just leave it. And in the end, you get mortification of the limb. You know, if you've got a tourniquet on, it has to be released.
So it just
every now
stops
and then.
everything going through.
That's right, and pretty soon the limb actually dies. So that method is out, right? The
What do you
tourniquet.
do now, amputate the arm?
No, it's not quite that drastic. The idea now is that you don't, also with the old method, you used to wash the wound and then apply the tourniquet, they believe, to stop other venom going in. There is a certain amount of venom left on the surface. Mm-hmm. It doesn't penetrate. And you used to wash this off. However, nowadays they've realised that the venom that's left on the wound can also help in identifying the snake. So the idea is to use it. And the other old method of cutting the wound should be totally forgotten. You don't cut and slash away because you can slash
Got
arteries
the old
and
Condy's
veins.
crystals and everything.
Another thing, see? That's all old-fashioned. Now, what the idea is you just leave the wound and apply a bandage, a constrictive bandage like
Over
this.
the wound?
Yes, straight over the wound. Just take that piece there and carry it up the limb, right? About as tight as you'd do it for a sprained ankle, right?
Yeah.
Like this. All the way up and down as far as you can on the arm, right? Similar for the leg. Anywhere else, of course you can't do it around your neck or anything.
Well, probably choke yourself at the same time.
Right. But up like this, and you more or less immobilise this limb, right?
Yep.
All the way up. We'd have your shirt up further, but I'm just showing you here, right? And if you have another bandage, even more. This helps to stop it travelling through the tissue. Having done this, right, we've bandaged it all up, you'd then utilise some sort of splint, even if there's no sticks around here, but say a stick and a stick on either side, and then wrap another bandage around. The idea is, if you don't move this around too much, then the venom travels over it. It does still go there, but it's a lot slower.
so it doesn't go to the heart so quickly.
The worst thing you can do after a snake bite, there's old cures like drink a bottle of whiskey. or these things actually used to happen.
That'd kill you.
Yeah, people keeping somebody else up all night, walking them around in a circle to keep them awake because they're going to sleep to death. All these things stimulate the action of your blood and carry the venom through more quickly.
So if people are not as expert as you, they just take it easy, follow this method here, right? Can you use the same thing for a spider bite?
Well, in the case of, let's say, a worse spider, the
Funnel web or something.
Funnel web,
yeah.
you use the original method, the tourniquet.
The tourniquet.
Yeah.
Right.
That's because the venom of the funnel web is an entirely different setup to that of a snake. You've got time with the snake. But now we've got an anti-venom that's almost ready for use with the funnel web.
Right.
So you may see a change in that sort of first aid as well.
I'm glad you told me about that.
Yeah. Now, you should never have to use this because most people who get bitten are either trying to kill the snake or catch it, and to do either of these things is stupid.
Then there was the day that Pete took me into the hot, steaming swamp.
Come on, Art. Come and have a look.
Oh, no. No, I'll see you later, alligator. I don't like to look at that.
No, it's not an alligator. Come and have a look. There's no alligators in Australia.
What is it?
It's a crocodile. It's a Johnson's crocodile.
Same difference, mate.
Look, it's not even a man-eating variety. Come over and have a look.
I'm just a boy giving it all away.
Right.
Oh, look at them teeth.
Pull up there. Now, you mentioned alligator then. There are some differences between crocodiles and alligators. Right?
And what are they?
Well, firstly, the alligator has a more rounded sort of snout, and the crocodile's is a little sharper. But the main thing is there's a notch on either side on the top jaw of the crocodile's jaw, which isn't in the alligator. This means that when the mouth's closed, the fourth tooth on the bottom jaw is visible in this notch. On an alligator, it isn't. This is where the crocodile gets his toothy sort of grin. When he's got it closed. And as you can see, there are plenty of teeth there, and they're quite jagged on it. Now, those teeth are replaced. If they fall out, they replace their teeth all the time. Now, this fella, as I said, is the Johnson's crocodile. We have a couple of varieties in Australia. The other one is the estuarine crocodile, or the saltwater crocodile, because they'll occasionally travel big areas of salt water. They'll even turn up in Fiji, things like this, and they turn up on the Queensland beaches, through the salt water. And he is a man-eater. He has caused a couple of deaths in Australia, usually because people have gone into crocodile country with a lack of knowledge of them. And they tend to set up like a habit pattern. The idea is in crocodile country, don't go to the same spot and draw your water every day or swim in the same spot each time, because a crocodile will wait, very patient, and he'll wait some time for his opportunity to get you. You see his nose there, right on top of the snout? And it's got little valves in it for when he goes under. Now, that's one of his best methods of obtaining food. He'll come across and lay with just that much out of the water, so you can hardly see anything, and when the food comes to drink, up they'll go and grab them, snap them up.
Those eyes are really evil to look at, aren't they? They've just got little slits there.
Yeah, this is in bright daylight, see? And the pupil is starting to close up. But just behind the eye there, you can see the ear. And they've got very keen hearing, and that's adapted for an aquatic existence, And also on the eye, they've got a thing called a nictitating membrane, which is a membrane they can pull across the eye for when they're travelling in the water.
I suppose it'd be handy in a dirty bit of water like this too.
That's right, to still see through it. Also, if you look in his throat, see how you can't see down his throat?
Yeah, it just looks like nothing goes down there.
That's right, he's got a little valve in there that allows him to breathe from the nose down behind there without water, having to breathe through there without water coming down into his throat. Also, you notice his tail, it's flattened this way to help him when swimming. Right?
Can I hold it?
Yeah, you touch it.
Yeah, I just don't want to go up the other end.
He's been up here dry now.
I wonder if they had such a big business in crocodile handbags and...
Well, that's right. Well, of course they don't now, because crocodiles are strictly protected in Australia, which is a very, very good thing. This one was a little fortunate, the Johnson's crocodile. The leather that comes from him isn't as durable as that you get off the saltwater crocodile, the estuarine crocodile. And therefore he didn't suffer the fate of having his skin ripped off just to suit fashion. But he suffered something that was just as indignant in the fact that many of these small crocodiles, smaller than this one, were actually stuffed and repainted to look really gaudy. It wasn't natural at all, and sold as souvenirs. Now, to me, I can't think of anything sicker than that type of souvenir around the house anyhow.
Oh, no.
And this was sold all through Queensland, but of course the National Parks and Wildlife of Australia, of the various states, have made it strictly illegal to keep crocodiles, kill them or catch them or do them any harm. And of course in their own area, they're not a problem anyhow.
Now, when I used to watch the Tarzan movies, he used to go into the death roll with them and whip his knife up underneath. Is that the place to go if you've ever got if I was ever in the position of having to fight this?
I think a lot of times Tarzan was wrestling rubber ones, but yeah, underneath there in the stomach area, I'll show you.
Devil.
You got him? Yeah, good boy. It's all right.
That's nice.
He doesn't want to sell his stomach. Have a look there, you'll see that that's much softer. That's much softer under there, and that is a vulnerable spot.
Do I dare?
I've got hold of him.
Oh, yes.
Now on top here is the hard part, the horny plates. Talking about crocodile wrestling, in ancient Rome, the times of the arena, the Romans imported famous Egyptian crocodile wrestlers for a bit of an act in front of the crowd, and they had a habit of, where they could turn the crocodile over. They were wrestling the Nile crocodile, Crocodilus niloticus, which is also a man-eating type. And they'd turn the crocodile over and then rub the stomach and put it into a semi-type of trance sort of thing.
Oh, how pleasant.
And, well, this has come down as folklore anyhow. Whether it happened or not, I don't know, but I wouldn't like
What
to
do
try
they
it.
do then? Keep him for the next show.
It might have been the way to do it. Also, you'll just notice that when he got stirred up, and you can hear that hissing.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a hiss. He's letting go some air because he's not enjoying this at all.
Well, why don't we let him go back to this delightful pond and get out of here? I'm dying from perspiration here.
Okay, we'll do that.
And there were times when Pete really did get angry.
You're going to be caught! Everything all right in there? All right, gotcha.
Oh, you filthy...
Oh, dirty introduced rat.
Right.
Absolutely correct.
Got me.
They are filthy.
Oh, look at it.
They don't even look very nice, do they?
No, they haven't even got a cute face.
Their fur's not much better.
Keep him away
I'll
from
tell
the
you what,
pond.
I wouldn't mind $1 for every rat I've caught up here.
What would you do with money?
I'd probably buy myself a nice big library and read about how to exterminate rats. But there are just so many up here, and of course, these are introduced to the country. Man brings along all his filth with him when he goes anywhere, you know. And we have our own native rats and mice here, but these are the rattus, the introduced rat from Europe. You know, there's the black rat, the brown rat, the Norwegian rat, and they are very, very successful in Australia. They breed better than our native rats, and they have more young when they do breed, and of course these they then start living on leftovers around houses and cities, etc. But they also occur out in the bush, and rats are quite vicious animals. Rats will eat other animals as well as vegetable and everything else. They're a bit like human beings. They'll eat.
I've read this where they put them into colonies or groups and then study them, and they reckon they act as human beings would act in the same close.
This is true. They go through stress in a very similar way to what human beings do when they suffer overcrowding.
Yeah.
They cannibalise, they'll eat each other, they'll eat their own young. Maybe there's a little bit of sense in that because it helps keep population down. But they totally change the order of their society when overcrowding occurs, just the same as it happens with the human being. But rats are responsible for carrying the flea of bubonic plague, along with other animals, but basically the rat was the big carrier. I'll be thoroughly washing my hands as soon as I dispense with this rodent. Rats are, of course, rodents, and that comes from a word rodere, which means to gnaw, which, of course, they're very, very good at, gnawing into anything, including your food and everything else. It's the thing with rats is where they live is normally pretty filthy anyhow, and it's through this that they pick up the diseases, etc., that they carry. But there are a lot of people in ghetto situations where there is overcrowding, where rats are prevalent, who have suffered rat bite. There's even reports of small babies in cradles being bitten and having parts of their face eaten away by rats.
Dreadful.
Because I don't doubt that if a rat was starving enough and you happen to be trapped in some situation where you couldn't escape them, they'd soon eat you.
Well, get rid of them.
Yeah, I'm going to do that just right now.
Thinks he's a top.
you go. That's easy, isn't it, eh?
Yeah, everybody should learn a bit of first aid.
Why don't you go home and try one of these on your father, Craig?
Really pleased.
I'm sure he would.
We keep pets to give us pleasure. We choose them, they don't choose us. Pets depend on us for food, drink and comfort. Always consider them. They are living creatures like you and I and can't fend for themselves. Don't neglect your pets. We'll see you next time.
We're gonna leave the car and hit the track. Don't care if we never get back. Gonna leave the crowded city far behind. We're gonna breathe the air and touch the trees. Living easy, moving free. We're beating round the bush. Beating around the bush, you and me. Beating around the bush, we wanna be. Beating around the bush, beats it all. Beating, yeah, we're beating round